for his briefing. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. Secretary General, distinguished members of Security Council, colleagues, we all today are facing the issue of terrorism. It's more acute than ever before. Terror International, which is led by ISIL and Al-Qaeda, continues sowing fear and destruction throughout the world. As a result of terror activities, we have a very worrying situation in the Near East, including Syria and Iraq. And the terrorist threat coming from there is very rapidly sprawling through the African continent, including through Libya. Central, Southern, and Southeast Asia are also becoming areas where savage acts of terrorism are perpetrated. And what we have in the forefront now is the issue of foreign terrorist fighters. The Secretary General has already mentioned that today, colleagues, as well. Foreign terrorist fighters who are returning to their countries of origin or are relocating to third countries. And fewer states are spared the terrorist threats. And in this regard, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that several years ago, the Federal Security Service of my country collected an international data bank on countering terrorism. 50 states participate in that, and several international organizations, including Interpol. And this is real help in following the movements of FTFs throughout the world, and we call upon everyone to join in with this very important initiative. The situation is such that now that the international community needs to consolidate its efforts in order to counter terrorism. The President Putin, in 2015, in this very building, launched the initiative of establishing broad anti-terrorist front on the basis of the UN Charter, international law, without politicization or preconditions. And this initiative today is becoming particularly relevant. The double standards used by some countries makes it more difficult to react to the challenges of today, including the terrorist challenges. Ignoring the principles of consistent working with international terrorism is fraught with consequences. It is unacceptable, I underscore that, using terrorist entities for political purposes. There can be no justification for this. Today, what we are seeing, that's becoming more needed to work together with regional and sub-regional organizations in line with the meaning of Chapter 8 of the Charter. Our meeting today is on the role of CSTO, CIS, and SCO on countering terrorism together with the UN. These regional entities have rich experience of fighting terrorism and contribute to stability in the Eurasian continent. Their activity is a gauge of security of their member states, and the effective counterterrorism efforts they undertake help noticeably stabilize the situation in Central Asia. And the importance of these efforts is reiterated, in particular, in consensus resolutions passed by the General Assembly, the resolutions in cooperation with CSTO, CIS, and SCO. We are concerned, however, by the periodic forays of FTFs into Central Asia and the recruitment work conducted by various terrorist entities in the region, including those which are linked to ISIL. One of the accents of work of CSTO is to combat the involvement terrorist activities, starting with ideology and ending with the return from high terrorism regions after having garnered terrorism experience. Attempts and work is being done in order to close recruitment channels and illegal migration, and a great deal of attention is being paid to work in the internet, which is being used as an instrument for extremist ideologies. The interaction with CSTO is becoming increasingly substantive. The Memorandum of Understanding between CSTO and Office on Counterterrorism is being implemented. The CSTO summit planned for November will be discussing the next plan of collective activities by CSTO in order to implement the global counterterrorism strategy. And a factor in ensuring stability in the area is SCO. Their priority is to ensure security in the region, including by countering extremism, terrorism, and separatism. The defense ministries of various member states are involved in anti-terrorist exercises. The CSCO put together a package of legal documents regulating various aspects of national counterterrorism counterterrorism activities, and the Secretary General of CSO mentioned that. I would like to underscore the document passed in 2017 at the highest level. It's a convention countering extremism, which enshrines the fundamental principles of international cooperation in this area. And here, the decisive role and primary responsibility is with states. And the convention is open for the accession to all interested states. We invite you to accede to that, and would like to say that the regional anti-terrorist entity of CSO is working actively, and they're very much needed in Eurasia. In March 2019, a memorandum on cooperation between the SCO regional anti-terrorist entity and the Counterterrorism Executive Directorate of the UN was signed. CSTO and SCO pay great attention to threats coming from Afghanistan, in particular to Central Asia. The north of that country can become a new platform for international terrorist organization headed by ISIL. This means that there has to be external assistance provided to Afghanistan in order to overcome these challenges. Our recent experience has shown very well that no plan for economic interaction with Afghanistan can be done without reacting to threats coming from that state. In this context, I would like to say that this is a reality on which the SCO Afghanistan Contact Group is basing its work. They are implementing the roadmap, which was approved today, roadmap on work between SCO members and official Kabul. The CIS now, since 2000, they had an active anti-terrorist work, ensuring coordination of work of national security, special services and law enforcement bodies in fighting international terrorism. The center works very closely with the Security Council sanctions committees, with the Counterterrorism Executive Directorate, and the OCT. And I do hope that all of these entities will continue this work. In conclusion, I would like to say that I'm pleased that CSTO, CIS, and SCO, as was shown by their leader statements today, are open to further broadening cooperation in the area of combating terror with the UN in order to maintain both regional and international peace and security. Thank you for your attention. I now resume my function as President.